I was watching a video that was done by Jada Black, and shout out to him, by the way, and it was about Asia Maynard. And before I had even listened to his entire commentary, I had left a comment. Now, if you, and I'm sure you already have, watched the video that I did on Asia Maynard, I left a comment that was pinned at the top of the page. And the comment that I left there was the same exact comment that I left on Jada Black's video about Asia Maynard. And this was before I even, listened to his entire video, because it was something that just kind of came to me because it didn't strike me until after the fact. As a matter of fact, it didn't even come to me when I made the initial video about Asia Maynard. Otherwise, I would have put that in there. But I said I wanted to expound even more on that. And basically, the comment was saying how Asia Maynard and Lawrence Smith Fields, and we're using those two in particular because their cases almost pretty much line up almost exactly the same. You have two black women, both in their 20s. The only difference between the two of them is that they were in different locations, and one was a mother of four and the other one had no children. And they both were last seen with PC men, and they both ended up dead, and they're not suspecting any foul play in either one of those cases, even though anyone with a sound mind can see that's what it is. But basically, in the comment, I was saying how I bet you if Lawrence Smith Fields or Asia Maynard were in the presence of black men, that they definitely would have found foul play in both of those cases. And that just kind of came to me. And as I was listening to Jay's video, he had brought up an example, and he kind of mentioned the same exact thing that I said. Now, mind you, this was before I even really got into his commentary, because he mentioned it like about more than halfway through his video. And then I posted it in, as a comment. I posted it up as a tweet because I want people to understand what I believe is truly going on here. Now, I just did, a video talking about Tina Knowles Lawson, in that documentary profiled a black man, and how you had a lot of those divestors in the comment sections of any video linking to that documentary or that docuseries, talking about how black men, with black women in the femicide, and the black men are killing black women at every 5.5 to 6 hours. And then you look to the cases like Asia Maynard and Lawrence Smith Fields, who were not found dead in the presence of white men. Not found dead in the presence of black men, but found dead in the presence of white men. And I'm still trying to figure out who was responsible for Brenda Lee Ross, because they are like literally not talking about that anymore. Like, not that they were really talking about it to begin with. But what I'm noticing is they're letting these PC men off the hook without any type of investigation or any type of questioning. They're just saying this. They don't suspect foul play. With the other guy, with Lawrence Smith Fields, they're saying that he was a good guy and he was a nice guy or something like that. That would not be extended to black men. Those compliments or the not suspecting of foul play. What I'm thinking, and this is just a theory of mine, and y'all can agree or disagree with me, but I truly believe what they're trying to paint the narrative of is that there's no way in hell that a white man would ever commit a crime like that against a black woman. There's no way that a white man would go something like this to a black woman. That the only way that a black woman could meet her end in such a violent way is by a black man's hands. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Well, I'm going to give you two examples. One from a white man and one from a black man. Let's start with the black man. With Lawrence Smith Fields, she, of course, was with that white guy, and that was the last person she was seen with, but they said they found her in the condition that they found her in. But remember, they said that she went downstairs to go meet her brother to get something. They never specified what it was that she was going to go get. But to take the heat off of the white guy that she was with, they tried to say that her brother was the one that supplied her the drugs that she took that was found in her system that caused her to die from an accidental overdose of fentanyl. And they leaned heavily on that, but not heavy enough for the brother to be brought up on any charges. But that's what they leaned with to take the heat off of the white guy that they claim was such a nice guy. Okay, that's number one. The second one is with a white guy, and everyone knows who I'm about to talk about when I say this name. Dirty Dick Danny, aka Daniel Holtzclaw. Remember, he was the cop. I forgot what state it was. Y'all can let me know down in the comments. When he was going around raping those black women, and none of them were believed because in their eyes, it was no way that this white guy would ever touch a black woman in that way. Until he got to his last victim, and they were able to find without a shadow of a doubt that that's what he was doing because his DNA matched with all the other women. And then, of course, you know, he got hit with hundreds of years behind bars. So that's really my theory of the whole situation, is they are trying to paint this narrative that there's no way that these pristine PC men could ever dare do something like this to a black female, no matter what the age is, because it's no way, because in their eyes, what they're trying to tell you is that why would someone who was so clean mess with something so filthy? I hope y'all are getting or picking up what I'm putting down, because I can't see it any other way but that. That's just, like I said, that's just my theory right there. And there's so many other examples. We can even take it away from off of black women and put it onto black men who were in the position that they were in. Look at Ed Buck. Not one, but two black men who were in the academy went out to him, basically, you know, for whatever reasons they were going out there. Ed Buck is an old white man who had connections to the Democratic Party. You know, he was huge with that out there in California. One went out there, found dead in his apartment, drugs in the system, drug paraphernalia all over the place. Nothing happened to Ed Buck. Another person went out there, same thing happened to him the same exact way as that one before him. But it wasn't until the third one went out there and they made it out alive. And then now they did the case and all of that stuff. And now Ed Buck is behind bars for what seemingly could be the rest of it. We can take it back even further. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer mainly messed with black men and other non-white men. And that, listen, Jeffrey Dahmer is like the blueprint of cannibalistic psychos in America. Like, for real, for real. I swear that his life is pretty much, you know, if you've seen the movie Silence of the Lambs, I swear, I think that his life was, that movie was kind of piggybacked off of his life. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But that man literally killed, raped, and even ate black men. And several of them before they finally got him. Like, I saw like a cartoon type of animation that they did on a rundown of Jeffrey Dahmer. And it was absolutely disturbing. Like, they were talking about how the smell would come from his apartment. And no one really thought of anything to do it. They said people even, they even sent people over there to investigate. They had to go over there several times before they actually finally got him on something, because he had the appearance of who in their eyes would not do such a thing, because he had a look about him that didn't come off as strikingly weird. Even though if you look at any image of him, you can tell that this guy was a straight up creep, a freak, and a perv. Thank God for Christopher Scarver. If you know, you know. So as you can see, not only did I give examples when it came to men and women, but I just gave you two examples when it came to men with other men. Because they kind of line up exactly the same thing. Like, they literally are lined up and play out the same exact way. That's why I said when it comes to Dub S, and see, the thing is, I gave you heterosexual and I gave you the homosexual. What do they have in common when it comes to Dub S or it's PC? Dub S, it doesn't matter what your orientation is. They all play in the same bubble with each other when it comes to their bottom line at the end of the day. And I even mean to even go into that direction when talking about Ed Buck and Jeffrey Dahmer. But those two came to mind immediately because they play out the same exact way as it did with Asia Maynard and Lawrence Smith Fields. as well as with Daniel Law. And there's so many more other stories out there that I can't really pinpoint right now. But the point is, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like the only way that a black woman can lose her life in the way that Lawrence Smith Fields did and Asia Maynard did, and not have it be called called foul play, is if a black man is involved. Because now, like I said, it's too routine now. We're seeing we're seeing like it's like a revolving door. A pattern is going on. Like I said, I truly believe if what happened to Lawrence Smith Fields and Asia Maynard if they was in the presence or the vicinity of black men, they definitely would have did it. Again, Lawrence Smith Fields, they tried to pin it on her brother because he went and gave her something, and they are automatically trying to say that he was the one that gave her the drugs that caused her to overdose. Yeah. And what's unfortunate is you had some people who ran with that narrative who look like you and I. I'm like, really? Like, you actually fell for that? Like, come on, let's really let's take off the dunce cap and put on our thinking. Really think about what they're doing. And I'm glad I'm not the only one to figure it out, but I feel like I'm one of the few that has pointed this out and really see it for what it is, see the long game for what it is. And that's why I said those divestors are playing a dangerous game when they keep saying that black men are the ones that's killing them every 6 hours or every 5.5 hours, because you don't think that they're not listening to that. And you're hurting yourself, because what happens when you have a situation with like Lawrence Smith Fields and Asia Maynard, when these individuals are found dead around these PC men? They're just going to toss it aside. They're not going to investigate it, and they're just going to continue to get away with it. And that just means you're going to have to wait until, unfortunately, it happens in the presence of a black man for the murder to be investigated. But as long as it happens with the PC man, they're going to continue to get off. How do you think they keep their numbers low when it comes to murder rates? They can't put a number down on murder rate if they're not charged with murder and convicted of it as well. All I'm saying is this: whatever olive branch they extend to black men when it comes to situations like this should be extended to them. But let's be real here. It's happening way too often. Hell, you even have some who are in relationships with PC men, and they'll do that to their wives or their spouses or whatever the case may be, and they'll still get off. Look at Chad Wheeler. Now, while his ex is not deceased, they tried to extend him a huge olive branch early on before they finally decided to charge him with something. And the only reason they did so is because of public backlash. I mean, we saw the pictures of her face. That woman was damn near beat to death. Like, the details, they said this man choked her until she was unconscious. And when she came to, he asked her, was she okay? Because he thought he had killed her. He really thought that she was there. He choked her right there in the living room and went back to eating his food like he did not just almost kill this woman. And then when she finally came to, he asked her, was she okay? But you won't find the divestors talk about that. I still remember that. I was like, whoa. And they tried to cover that up. Like, how was that even possible? But like I said, all that privilege that they have right there affords them to do something like that. Now, when it came to that football player who did that, who was caught on camera with his PC baby mama, who was tossing her around all over the place, y'all know what I'm talking about. He would never be extended the courtesy that Chad Wheeler was, ever. I don't care if Chad Wheeler wasn't on camera when he did what he did. We saw the aftermath. So I think I gave y'all enough examples. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video on that note before I find any more examples, to the point where I start rambling, and I don't want to do that. But I think by now you pretty much get the point of what it is that I'm saying. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you are new, make sure you go ahead and hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new video or go live.